So, the optional pregame skate just ended. Conversations still need to be had, and so he's doing well. I think he's progressing. You've seen that here even over the last few practices, him getting in there, and so we're taking the steps. And the next step right now is pregame skate just ended. We have to have some conversations, and we know he's close, but conversations still need to be had. I think it's important too. You got a guy like a really important player on this team, in this organization, like Bryan Rust. We're going into Game 3. You just want to make sure too. We got to be thinking about long term as well. Just that, when that decision is made for him to go back in, that it's at the right time. So I still need to have some conversations here, and we'll see where the day goes.
Got a philosophical hockey question for you.
Last
15 seconds or whatever it was in the last game, you're up one, you got a power play. Face off goes to this. I'm guessing you didn't love how things were executed in the last 15 seconds there. You had power play one out there. Did you think about going with guys with a more defensive posture? I'm just curious what the mindset was, and you can have a talk with those guys about how they handled that situation, and might you go with different personnel if something like that pops up again?
I don't know if it would necessarily be different personnel. I mean, I think even if you ask the players who are on the ice, I mean, there's a few things that could have been done differently, for sure. You want to keep. You have not a lot of time left. We got guys that I feel strongly about in the face-off. You've got guys that I feel we feel confident in to go out there and to possess the puck and to end the game without any chances coming back. I don't know if I'd go with different personnel. I think it's I think they made a play, and they got a chance, and so you learn from those moments. Obviously, you got to save. I don't think anybody involved, in players or myself, and I'll put that on me as well. Necessarily say that that's exactly how you want it played, but it's I don't think in terms of personnel being out there. I think if you go. I've seen it go the other way too. Like if you had everybody just back off and back in there, and now you're on your heels, and in a perfect world, you just we get the puck and we hold on to the puck and the game is over. And so it's easy to, obviously, when things play out that way, you go back on it and say how could we do things differently. But I still think that those guys are more than capable of either possessing the puck in that situation or defending that situation.
Dan, I just wanted to ask what it was like for you and your time there when you were in the locker room after the last game.
Yeah, it was great. I've somebody I've never met before, and so it was incredible to get an opportunity to meet him and have a short conversation with him. Obviously, just an absolute legend of our game, legend in the city, and just an iconic figure. And so I'd never met him before. So on a personal level, it was a real honor to meet him. And then I think you think about for all the players in the room too. You go with a guy like Sid and Ting and Gino. Like to be able to have somebody that they know, somebody like that back there. And then you also think of the younger guys too. Just to be able to be in that locker room and be able to see him and get to meet him, have a short conversation. Yeah, it was awesome.
What else you starting your goal?
You have not asked me that yet. No. Silov's. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious through two games, how you assess what you've seen from Tommy Novak.
Yeah, I think and there's times when somebody's not, maybe, and he wasn't in the first two games. Tommy wasn't getting, any special team opportunities. And I think that's something that, there'll be hopefully opportunities for him to be involved in that over time. Sometimes you can get a little bit lost in the shuffle. I think there was times, I think he's done a good job considering, his usage, and that's, that's on, at the end of the day, that's on me. I think if you look at, last game in particular, I think he was a guy who, based on some of it was special teams and some of it was just a flow of the game. He had probably longer periods of time, longer gaps there with him going on the ice, and that had nothing to do with what he was doing. I actually thought he handled it well. I thought the third period last game, there was a little bit more of a flow to it, and I think that was probably his best period of hockey. And so, and this is a conversation I've, just recently had with Tom. He's like, just now building off of that. And I think, again, credit to him. That's not an easy thing. Like when you're not getting out there for special teams, you're just getting 5-on-5. And, sometimes then it's not just the special teams, it's post special teams. It's kind of the usage after that. The line will sometimes change, and, and it's going to happen. Somebody's going to possibly, lose a shift or two, or maybe lose a little bit of the rhythm of the game. But I think he kept himself ready, and then when that opportunity was there, you look at the third period, their last game for him. He comes back into the zone. He gets a big block shot. He goes down he gets a partial breakaway right after that. Gets a really good scoring chance. I thought he had a couple of really good instances in the offensive zone there. One of them starting with great forecheck pressure by him, and so. You're seeing those things, and Tommy's a guy who I think he has great poise there with the puck, really good vision. He can draw coverage to him and then find options away from it, and then he's also a guy too who I don't think he gets enough credit for some of his positional play there away from the puck. And so, a long answer to a short question, but I think he does I think we're looking for him to build off of that third period that he had last game.
And you have to admit it's pretty unique that 2 of your first 3 games against a team that you used to be an assistant coach for. Have you been able to take some things that you learned from the players that you coach? And you have to admit, as an assistant coach, you spend a lot more one-on-one time with players, with video or skills or whatever it is. Have you been able to kind of take some of the things that you've learned from, whether it's an Adam Fox or a Shesterkin or Zibanejad, whoever it is? Every player has a weakness or weaknesses. Have you been able to take some of those things and translate them to your players?
No, I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean, you learn a lot about the players when you get a chance to be working, especially for 2 seasons with a lot of those guys. They're also there's a new coaching staff there, and so it's the way they're playing right now is there's always going to be some differences, and so I think the focus. Number one, the focus is always going to be on us. We're obviously going to look at opponents and look at what they do and have a plan for our group and things that we want to focus in on. I don't know if it's as much, it comes out. I don't know if there's a lot like, that will going too much into depth on it. There might be some little things, but nothing major. Just because you only have so much time in the day, and you gotta. I think a big part of it for us is always, getting the players the information that they need, but not overloading them with information where they're, not going to be able to just go out there and play. And so, it's probably a benefit there knowing their group and knowing a lot of their personnel a little bit, but. We're not going to suddenly totally change what our day looks like here because of